Let's make the biggest pineapple buns you've ever seen. I want to bring back the pineapple bun recipe from when I was a kid, when the crunchy cookie crust ratio was far more generous than what we can find today. You're in luck because I have in my possession a bread recipe that dates back 30 years. First, you gotta make something called TangZhong, where you gently cook some flour in water and milk until it becomes a paste. This technique was carried forward from steaming buns like char siu bao or barbecue pork buns to form a pillow-like and bouncy texture of the bread. When a smooth paste is formed, set it aside and let it cool down. For part 2 of the dough, sift the flour and add the sugar and yeast into the milk. Stir it a little bit to dissolve the sugar and activate the yeast. I want to take the opportunity to thank you for watching and remind you that all the recipes are in the comment section below, so all you have to do is copy, paste, and cook. Beat 2 eggs into the milk mixture. If you have a stand mixer, you can start mixing the flour on low and then spoon in some room temperature butter. I took the butter out of the fridge and left it on my kitchen counter to come to room temperature overnight. If you don't have a stand mixer, don't worry, just use your fingers to pinch the butter into the flour. Mix in the egg mixture and knead for about 2 minutes and then mix in the TangZhong. This is one of those rare moments where I insist that you mix in this particular order because I've tried skipping a step and mixing it all in one go, or doing different variations with it, and it just didn't turn out as pillowy as I wanted it to be. Don't over knead the dough. You want to work it for about 5 to 7 minutes. Then proof the dough and let it rise for only half an hour. If you proof the dough for longer, then the bread will taste like beer, and that will kind of mess around with the flavor of the crust. Now this crust recipe is 100% mine, and I'm really proud of it. Most pineapple bun crust recipes will call for ammonia powder, milk powder, evaporated milk, and condensed milk. But I've taken all of those out to simplify your life and develop a simple recipe that is tasty, crunchy, and successful. Just like making short crust pastry, a food processor really helps in this process. The outcome should be slightly sticky and a little bit crumbly. If it's too crumbly, add a little bit more water and process it again. Wrap this dough in cling film and put it in the fridge for about half an hour. After half an hour of proving, you can take the dough out and cut it into 80 to 90 gram portions. For smaller pineapple buns, you can go to 40 to 60 grams. Take each portion of dough and fold it in onto itself, using your thumb to hold down the ball of dough and your other hand to pull the dough over and fold. Finally, use your fingers to pinch the excess dough together so that it forms a nice ball. Turn the ball around and cup the ball of dough and roll it until it forms a nice smooth ball. Then put it onto your baking tray. I've used a reusable silicone mat called a silpat, but you can also use baking paper if you don't have a silpat at home. Now this part is also my own technique. Typically what professionals will do is put the dough in between 2 pieces of parchment paper and then flatten it with a rolling pin and then cut out circles of it with a cookie cutter, but I love this technique, using your hands to form a cookie to place on top of the bun, just so that you can control how thick the crust is gonna be. I love this. Form a ball and then flatten it, and then use your thumb and your finger to flatten it some more, and make sure you flatten the edges just a little bit more so that it thins out right at the end, so that when the crust bakes, it doesn't fall or slide off the bun. Using your palms to flatten it out gives sort of an uneven surface, so when it bakes, you have larger and smaller chunks of cookie on top of the bun. And so when I'm eating the pineapple bun and I bite into a larger chunk of crust, I'm just so delightfully surprised and sort of feel like I got a bonus out of it. I've seen a lot of recipes ask you to put in some yellow food coloring, and I think this is completely unnecessary. Brushing on the egg yolks alone will give it that really nice yellow glaze. Preheat your oven to 180 degrees with the fan and bake for about 18 to 20 minutes. As the buns bake, they'll rise and the crust will fall and form a skirt, and that gives you excess amount of cookie crust to eat. You could tell by the look on my face that these pineapple buns really remind me of my childhood. And now I would like to allow the pineapple buns to speak for themselves. You can only get this kind of crunch if you make your own pineapple buns. And look how pillowy the bread is. Oh goodness, this is the best ratio. A thick, crunchy crust and a pillowy bread on the bottom. Hong Kong nostalgia in every bite. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel and bake more pineapple buns. Let's make Godzilla pineapple buns. Gigantic pineapple buns. A pineapple bun mountain. The biggest pineapple buns you've ever seen.